Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Olivia.
And I'm Carter, and I know that we're keeping you guys from lunch right now, so bear with us.
Go ahead.
So we're the founders of a nonprofit organization called One More Generation that we started a little over 10 years ago. And it all started when my aunt went to South Africa, and she came back with 2 certificates saying that we were proud parents of cheetahs. Now, that doesn't mean we own the cheetahs or anything, or it just means that we helped them out in South Africa. And so we asked our dad, why did cheetahs need to even be adopted? And he said, well, if there weren't cheetahs like the ones, or if there weren't agencies like the ones you're adopting your cheetahs from, there might not be any when you have kids. And that got us really upset. So we asked him, what can we do about this? And he said, when you get older, you can start a company. And of course, as 7- and 8-year-olds, we took that as, Dad said we're starting a company. So we kept going to him and said, when are we going to start this? And he said, when will you get older? We kept thinking he was trying to push it off. But eventually, he gave us an assignment saying that if you guys can study for the next 14 days straight about different endangered species without me or your mom having to remind you, we'll help you start the company. And of course, as a 7- and 8-year-old, 14 days is a long time. So we went through with the 14 days and created the nonprofit organization, One More Generation. So our first initiative was collecting $1,000 for the Cheetah Rescue Center, the Anne van Dyke Cheetah Rescue Center in South Africa. And we brought it to them. We delivered a literally big check. And so we got to see different cheetahs. Now, these cheetahs weren't able to go back into the wild because when they were younger, poachers had taken them out and had kept them as pets. And when they got rehabilitated, they didn't have the same skills they needed to go back into the wild. So this is actually when we got to feed them and see them in person.
But shortly after that, we came home and the Gulf oil spill happened. How many of you guys remember the Gulf oil spill? Almost everyone. So we came home from school one day and we turned on CNN and we saw sea turtles and seabirds being pulled out of the water, caked in oil. And so we knew we had to do something. So for the next 4 months, my brother and I went to door, churches, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, schools, basically anybody that could listen, and collect supplies. And on my 8th birthday, we drove 11 and a half hours down to the Gulf, and we spent the next 5 days working with the Marine Mammal and Sea Turtle Rescue Center. They had 146 sea turtles, 6 sharks, 1 dolphin, and countless birds that were all sick from ingesting oil. Now, does anybody know how to get oil out of a sea turtle if it swallows it?
It's stuck in there.
Anybody want to guess? Nobody?
At a lively
Yeah, you
audience.
have your hand up?
Oh, yeah. Who said something? Okay, yeah.
You what?
Make it vomit.
That is right. But what you do is you take a syringe and you squirt mayonnaise down their throat. I know, it's gross. But mayonnaise is thicker than oil, and sea turtles hate mayonnaise. So they throw it all up, including the oil. I don't know what scientists thought of mayonnaise, but it works.
But on our last day there, a professor from Berkeley, California, came up to us and congratulated us on all our hard work, but then asked us, what are you guys doing about the environment? And we said, what do you mean? Haven't we done enough? And she said, well, no. Oil's not my only problem. Plastic pollution is. That was the first time we'd really heard about the issue, and when we looked it up, when we came back and we studied it for 5 months, we saw horrific images like this one. This is a baby albatross, and 40% of all baby albatross die within their first year of nesting due to plastic ingestion. Here's another one, a sea turtle. So sea turtles love jellyfish, and when plastic bags float in the water, they look like jellyfish. So when they eat it and they start to realize that it's a plastic bag and it's not jellyfish, they don't have hands to pull it up. It goes in their digestive system and it blocks it, and they starve to death. We realized that it doesn't only affect saltwater creatures, it also affects freshwater. That was a turtle. This is an otter, and guess what's under that bag? Her baby. Her baby went down, came up, and got stuck in it. Luckily, the cameraman went and got it, but not all creatures are, they don't have the same amount of luck as this one did. And this is a form of entanglement, as you saw earlier. Some it's around their stomachs, and some it's on their fins and flippers for the rest of their lives. Over 100,000 marine mammals and over 1 million seabirds die each year from ingesting plastic. And you can see here a few statistics that we put up. So we came back and we studied for 5 months about the issue of plastic pollution and created our award-winning Plastic and Recycling Awareness Week. And what we do is we go into schools and teach kids each day about a different type of plastic, what can and can't be recycled, and how they can go home and be the change in their own home. We give them reusable shopping bags, we give them stainless steel water bottles, and throughout the whole week, we ask the kids to bring in all the plastic trash that they've collected from home and we created a giant art sculpture out of it. And speaking of giants, if you go one more, this was our largest school with 750 students. And as you can see, it's a huge sea turtle that we created out of plastic. It shows the community, it shows the government, it shows the people, how much trash just one school uses in 1 week. We actually had to have a cherry picker to take this picture.
So our curriculum is now being brought into other countries around the world, countries in Africa, Malta, India, Vietnam, and we're even working with the government, the US government, on bringing our curriculum nationwide into schools.
I really apologize about the hair.
Yeah, that's his hair.
That is
Pretty
so
bad.
terrible.
And then we're also working with the government in Canada to bring our curriculum into there, and we're even working with the president of Iceland. Now, while we were in Vietnam doing some of our animal conservation work, we came along this animal. Does anybody know what this animal is? Somebody
There
said
we
a
go.
pangolin. Not a lot of people get this right. A lot of people say penguin, stuff like that. But this is a pangolin. They're the most poached mammal on our planet right now. And they're poached for their scales, which are made of the same thing as our hair and fingernails, same thing as rhino horn, keratin. In other countries, it's known as a delicacy. It's grinded up, put it into soup, thinking it can cure hangovers, cancer, just stuff like that, when it has no medicinal value at all. So there are 8 different types of pangolins, 4 in Africa and 4 in Asia, and one every 5 minutes is being killed. So by the time I've been talking, maybe 2 to 3 pangolins have been taken from the wild. So what we did is we got artists from around the world to draw pictures of pangolins and send them in. And then we partnered with an artist out of UK, Louise Fletcher, and she painted this beautiful mural of this pangolin with a baby on its back. But you can notice that the pangolin doesn't have any scales on it. And we do that on purpose because we bring this to schools and we ask the kids to color in those pictures of the pangolins, and they put it on there as their scales, and they become the pangolin protectors that way.
And so, affecting change globally, we created a campaign just about 2, maybe 3 years ago called our One Less Straw Pledge campaign, where we go around, talk to businesses, restaurants, schools, and individuals, asking them to stop using plastic straws. We even have campaign buttons that we give to restaurants free of charge that say, "We only serve straws upon request, ask me why." And this starts a conversation saying, well, why not just mindlessly handing out the straws? We have an interactive map where we have over 10,000 people who've signed up. We have over 800 businesses in over 64 countries so far. And as you can see here, that's the interactive map. You can see the shaking hands, the beds are hotels, the knives and forks are restaurants. You can kind of get the hint from the school bus. But if you show the next picture, we actually have it translated in over 12 different languages around the world. So if any of you know any other language besides any of these, please let us know.
So since launching, we have attracted key partners for our One Less Straw Pledge campaign. The Hilton Waikoloa Village in Hawaii contacted us because they use over 800,000 single-use plastic straws every single year. And they're all ending up into the environment or even into the ocean right there. So they contacted us and said that they do not want to hand out straws anymore unless somebody asks for them. And with that, Hilton has agreed to get the rest of their properties, which is 650, to partner up with us, which will be reducing 35 million plastic straws from ending up into our environment every year.
Thank you.
And also, Red Lobster is partnering up with us with their 700 properties worldwide.
And then we also got a message from Delta. They heard about our straw campaign and wanted to see what they could do in their local cafeterias where we live in Atlanta, Georgia. So we toured their cafeterias, and we decided one day to take out all the plastic straws. And we didn't replace them with anything. We had paper straws under the counter if someone really wanted it. But and we gave everyone these buttons, but we wanted to see how many people would listen to us. So we stood at one end, Olivia stood at one end of the restaurant, and I stood at the other. And every time someone walked in, we'd talk to them about our campaign. And they tested it in their other 3 locations. They got a huge success. So they brought us in for another meeting. We actually got to be in, one more. We actually got to be in an airplane for one of these meetings, which was really cool. So we got to talk about that, and now they want to roll it out in all of their in-flight as well. So they've started taking out all their plastic straws. They even invited us to their kitchen, where we toured and saw a few more things, like the plastic saran wrap around every single container that they have, and we're working with them now to reduce more plastic waste.
So we are also wanting to partner with Delta and Coca-Cola on ways that we can reduce sustainability in the Delta kitchens. When we toured these kitchens,
You gotta go one more, it's weird.
It's a little weird. But we saw that instead of having the plastic water bottles on every flight, why not make aluminum water bottles? So here's just a prototype of them, just little drinking water. It says premium drinking. They have QR codes on them for people to scan if they are interested, even little facts at the bottom. And then people were also like, what if I don't want to finish it now? We have ones that have screw-on tops as well.
So we got it covered.
We do got it covered. But while we were touring the kitchens, we noticed one thing with the 9,000 stick packs that come in every single day. The plastic rings. They have over 32 million stick packs rings that come in every single day, and they all have plastic rings on them. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Happy Feet, but the penguin had the ring around its neck, and they don't cut them up. So we said, why not, since Delta already recycles 100% of their cardboard, why not make something like this where they can put the cans in, it doesn't involve any type of plastic at all, and it's just a great way, and it can be 100% recyclable as well.
And they get money back on it, so I mean, it's cost saving as well.
So we're hopefully working with Coke and Delta to find the best match for that. So what's next? Does anybody know what's going on in this picture? Feeding.
Yeah.
Can't hear. That's okay. What about this one? The baby is eating a cigarette butt. Cigarette butts are the most polluted item on our planet. There's so many of them. We actually went to Singapore in the beginning of the year and did some Earth Day events there, and 70 of us went out on the beach one day, and we took 1 hour to clean up the beach. And we found almost 3,000 cigarette butts. Singapore is one of the cleanest places. So what we did is we're launching our new campaign called One Less Butt. I know it's a funny name, but we're not advocating for people to quit smoking. We're asking them to smoke responsibly, which means once you're done with your cigarette, don't just throw it on the ground. Throw it in a trash can or even in a designated bin. And that's what we just rolled this out for our 10th year anniversary in September.
So we've been creating environmental and animal conservation efforts and work campaigns for the past 10 years now, and we know firsthand today's youth power. And I mean, each one of you here today has the power to make a difference. I don't care if you're 80 or if you're 2 years old, you have the power to make a difference. So what I want all of you to do is to think about what you're passionate about. Go home, tell your parents, tell your friends, everything you're passionate about. Because I don't know how many times I had to tell my dad what I was passionate about, why I wanted to get into animal conservation before he actually listened to me. So if you're a parent out there, listen to your kids. And if you're a student out here, just keep on talking, and eventually you don't have to do something big like us, but you'll make a difference.
And remember, anybody can make a difference.
If we can, you can too.
Thank you.
Thank you.